Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to Livestream Tuesday, the time of the week where we go live, see who's online, also play a few videos as well and go through those video suggestions from Patreon. So thank you guys for those of you who have requested the videos for tonight over on Patreon. So without further ado, I'm going to get the names of my patrons going along the bottom of the screen because that's always what happens in Livestream Tuesdays and they should be starting now. Let's get you guys up on screen because we already have some people in the house. We have Susan and Dennis, hi guys, and Barbara and Carla and Laurie and Nanette and Cindy and Luan and Michelle and Mark, hi guys, thanks for tuning in. And if you want to, you can get your thumbs up in early to see how many we could get tonight. I think last week was crazy, we got over 300, so a massive thank you to you guys for hitting the thumbs up last week and getting such a crazy total. Let's see, fingers crossed, maybe we can get somewhere near that tonight. You never know. But hello, guys. Thank you all for joining me on this Tuesday night. And I hope you guys had a great weekend. And it's getting a lot colder here in England. And you might have noticed in the background, my like and subscribe sign has got new batteries in. And if anything, it's arguably too bright now. But fingers crossed it can still be seen and people will like and subscribe. Talking about subscribing, we've just passed 99,000 subscribers on the channel, which is very cool indeed. Thank you everybody for hitting the subscribe button as well as the like button because the numbers are getting a bit crazy now and we're within 1,000 of 100,000 subscribers, which is just a crazy number. And I think the less I think about it, probably the better because it's quite a lot of people. But thank you guys so much for subscribing and commenting on the videos and liking the videos because it really does help the whole channel to get out there and for more people to see the videos as well. So thank you everybody in the comments section. And I just want to say a thank you as well to the moderators who are in the house. I've already mentioned them and you'll be able to see that wrench, is it called, or a spanner we call it here in the UK, where you can see the moderators as they go through the screen. So massive thank you to you guys for keeping everything under control in the comments section because I think the bigger the numbers become with the subscribers, the more you attract other people on the periphery of YouTube who are just looking to get involved in a troll kind of entity. But thank you guys for taking care of the live streams, and on the whole it's just a great place to be in the comments section, so thank you for making it so interesting. And we're going to be getting into the first video for tonight because over the last live streams I've taken a little bit of time to get through the videos and it has dragged on a little bit. I don't mean to also talk for so long between the videos, but hopefully we'll be able to steam ahead tonight and get through the videos nice and smoothly. And the first video that I'm going to be playing here is my track called Don't Cry, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Fingers crossed I've set this all up correctly because starting the live stream tonight, it always happens that I have something in the back of my mind, and you guys can probably appreciate this, that it's like you've forgotten to do something really big but you can't remember what it is, or you don't know what it is, and you'll only know what it is when it fails, when you go to do it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this live stream will be fine the whole way through, but in the back of my mind it feels like I've forgotten to do something major before setting this up, but we will see. Anyway, we're going to push on with this first video. This is my song called Don't Cry that is available from my album called Persistence, but I'll tell you guys about that. You already know, I'm sure, a lot of you guys who tune in every week, but I'll get into it after the video has finished. So I'll be in the comments section as always, and if you like this, please hit the like button and give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys after this video. Rock!
Go around thinking of her.
when you think you see her face in the crowd. Now she's gone, no way of ever knowing. Don't cry for me, don't cry, is what she'd say. Don't cry for me, don't cry. No more shopping in the hall, only empty spaces. Brand new kitchens, black and white. I feel the house is dying, and I'm inside. Now she's gone, no way of ever knowing. Don't cry for me, don't cry, is what she'd say. Don't cry for me, don't Every time I think of you, I just break down. I miss you more than I ever could That was my track called Don't Cry. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. And as I always say when playing that video, that features my sister, who had no idea that I was filming her. But anyway, during that video, we had a few super chat donations. So, first of all, Lisa donated $10. Thank you so much for that, Lisa. And the message is, when you finished college, what did you earn your degree in? So, here, college is different to university. So when I finished school, I did sports science in college, which is for 2 years. And then I did another 2 years in sport and exercise science, which means you get a higher diploma, something like that. And then the third year, you can either bow out at that point and just get the diploma, or you can do the full 3 years and get your degree, whereas I was playing guitar much too much at university, so I got the 2-year diploma. And yeah, it wasn't anything to do with music, it was sport and exercise science. So it means that exercising, I used to play a lot of football, and when I say a lot of football, that's soccer here. Well, actually it's soccer over in the USA. Here it's football. I know they're two totally different things. If you say football over in the USA, it's lots of padding and running around, throwing the ball, not kicking the ball. But yeah, so soccer, I used to play that a lot, and that was my main focus when I was a kid, even though I started playing the guitar at maybe 12 or 13 years of age, so I always enjoyed playing the guitar, but I did sport as well. And then when I was maybe 20, 21 at university is when I then got serious about the music and realised that I really wanted to do music and wasn't as interested in kicking a ball around a field. And playing guitar was a lot safer as well, because you're not going to get injured doing that. But anyway, that is what I've got in terms of qualifications, but I don't think I'm ever going to be using it. And it's another argument against really education and schools all teaching the same things, because I think a lot of people follow their passion after they've been to school and don't necessarily learn anything in school about what they then do as a job. And that's certainly the case with me. I never liked music at school just because the lessons were rubbish, and I guess as a teacher that's something now that I try and change about my own experiences. How would I have wanted my music lessons to be like, and just try and do that myself for other people. So I approach it in that kind of way. But anyway, thank you, Lisa, so much for that donation. And straight after that, we had Carla, who's donated $9.99. Thank you, Carla, so much for that. That is a moderator who's donating as well, and at the same time keeping an eye on the comments. So thank you, Carla, for multitasking tonight. And then we have Mark, who has donated $5 as well. And Mark says, dying to be a serial offender. So thank you for that donation, Mark. And maybe your dream could come true tonight. We'll have to hope, fingers crossed, that this live stream continues uninterrupted. And we've had another donation underneath that, and that's John, who has donated $10. And there's a flying man going through the sky. It looks like he's holding some. Oh no, it's just his. It looks like he's got boxing gloves on or something. I thought maybe he was holding something, but no, it's just a flying man going through the air. So thank you so much for that, John. That $10 donation. And then we have a donation from Sandy, and it looks like it's just cutting off Sandy's message, if there is one, but the donation was $5. So thank you for that, Sandy, and I'll hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to see your message a little bit later. Here we go. I can now click on the number, and the message is, who is your favourite singer, songwriter from the 60s or 70s? That is a question that it would take me probably longer than the live stream to try and decide on anything. I had a comment earlier today when somebody said, who are your top 5 guitarists? And I guess this is going to be exactly the same answer in terms of singers, songwriters. I've done so many on the channel, and picking a favourite is impossible because they're all so good at what they do independently, and it's again impossible to pick between that. Exactly the same as guitar players and singers that play guitar, and some guitarists who are amazing at playing and sing as well, but then some guys who are amazing at singing and play a little bit. There are so many different things that you have to weigh up, and especially with guitar, there's so many different techniques, so many different ways of playing the guitar. You've got acoustic guitar, you've got electric guitar, you've got making percussive noises on the guitar, and you've all seen it. I've done plenty of analysis videos on striking the guitar, flamenco, blues, so many different techniques, so picking between them is impossible. So unfortunately, Sandy, I can't really say one that is my favorite, but there's probably about 20 or 30. I pretty much like, on the whole, all of the singer-songwriters that I have featured, because I get so many great suggestions. And just a massive shout out to you guys for suggesting these artists for me to take a look at, because pretty much every single artist has a unique element to them, and they all share things in common. But it's amazing how they can share techniques and they can share different things with their composing and with their live performances, but they are so individual when you hear them. So again, it's great to look through so many artists. But thank you so much for the donation of $5 from Sandy. I've got to scroll up because they've just while I'm babbling on, there's been a lot more donations. So thank you, Sandy, and thank you for the question, and apologies that I can't give you one definitive answer, but that just tends to be the way that I am. I find it very difficult. But Linda has donated $5 as well, and the message with this is, during a future live stream, what are the chances of replacing one of your videos with you playing guitar live for us from right where you're sitting? It's possible. The only problem that I used to live stream years ago, and the problem is being able to hear the guitar, because if it's an electric guitar, the strings don't make a lot of noise. I'd have to turn the amp up really loud, and because I've got a mic here, and it's all going through the same interface, I'll then get feedback that's running in the loop going through the interface because there's another mic that'll be picking it up. It gets really complicated trying to play the guitar and do a live stream at the same time. My Fender video that I did when I did just playing some blues and giving an example of the Strat as a guitar because Fender had just given it to me, I took about 2 hours setting that up to try and get the sound right so that it didn't feed back. And everyone will know that sound of feedback where it just starts to take over and it could just descend into an awful noise and probably pierce everybody's ears who's watching the live stream. But maybe, fingers crossed, in the future there'll be a way around it that I can work out to live stream and do it all at the same time. The thing about that Fender video that I did, it wasn't live, so it meant that I could record in two separate ways, the microphone and then the guitar, and then post-edit it and, put one on top of the other take, and I didn't have to deal with the feedback that is caused when it all goes through one continuous loop live. But anyway, maybe, fingers crossed, we will see in the future. But Linda, thank you so much for that donation. Just while I remember as well, the video that I just played of Don't Cry, that was requested by Ian over on Patreon, and Ian has done his own version of my song Don't Cry. So I don't know if Ian can link that in the comments if anybody wants to check that out, but it's worth checking that out just for a different version. It's a kind of folk version, I guess, of Don't Cry, so you guys can check that out if you get a chance. And just getting back to the donations, so thank you so much, Linda, for that donation. And we have John underneath that, who's donated $9.99, and the message is it possible to send a track for you to review? Does it need to be a video? So thank you, John, for that donation and for the question. What tends to happen is people link videos in the YouTube comments section, and I work my way through all of the comments and make a note of any of those videos that you want to have just looked at. It tends to be pretty much videos that are multiple requests in terms of the ones that I go to. If you're asking if I can look at a video of you performing, it's a little bit difficult because everybody asks if I can look at them performing and feature it on my channel. And it becomes really difficult because if I feature one person, at the moment, the list I've got of acts from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even younger artists now is so long. I'm going to be so long doing these videos, and if I started featuring everybody individually who sends me their videos, it's going to be really difficult for me to work through all of the suggestions that I get. And also, if I feature one video, then somebody else will say, why didn't you feature me playing my acoustic guitar in my bedroom? And it's going to, you can imagine how many of those requests potentially, easy for me to say, potentially that I'm going to get on the channel, because I always get a fair few of those anyway. But it's just making that decision about where I draw the line in terms of having videos that are requested multiple times, opposed to a video of just somebody saying, look, I want you to look at me playing my guitar in my room. So it's difficult. But John, if you send me a link to the video that you're talking about in the comment section of any analysis video, then I can click on it. And if you want, I can give feedback if it is your own personal performance, just in the form of a message. And hopefully it can work that way. But John, thank you so much for that donation. And apologies for the long explanation, but it is something that I get quite a lot in terms of just links to videos that are just, maybe one view or two view of somebody sitting playing their guitar. But thank you for that question, because it helps me to clear things up as well. And we've had another donation from Carla, so thank you so much for that, Carla. $2.99, and the message is, what is your favorite candy or sweets from the USA? And because I haven't been to the USA much, I don't know. All I do know is that when I was young, I wanted to have a Baby Ruth because of The Goonies, the film by Steven Spielberg, and that's what they had on the film. So I always wanted to taste that, to know what it was like. So I'd have to maybe go for that, even though I think maybe a Snickers bar was slightly better than the Baby Ruth. Yeah. Whenever I say Baby Ruth, I just hear, for some reason, not in my voice, but in the voice of, I don't want to spoil it for people just in case you haven't seen The Goonies, but everybody will know what I'm talking about. Hey, you guys. It's Sloth, the guy who's saying it. I always hear his voice whenever I hear Baby Ruth, and Chuck's voice as well. But anyway, moving on. That is my choice, Carla. Thank you so much for that donation and for the question. And we've had another donation under that. It looks like, what is going on in the super chat donation tonight? I thought Doug was going to be the last one, but Doug, thank you so much. $20 has written a message, and there's other ones underneath this. I'm going to have to try and get through these. Hi Phil, have you ever thought of doing a cover of the Journey song Lights? I think you could knock it out of the park. Well, thank you for those kind words, Doug. I've done one Journey cover, which you've probably already seen. In terms of doing Lights, it's always really difficult because Steve Perry vocally is just so immense that getting the same expression and the range for a start is really difficult. But it's maybe one of those that I can add to my list. And I was fortunate enough that on my Don't Stop Believin' cover, Neil Schon got in touch and said that he'd seen it and he really liked it. So whenever somebody maybe trolls that video and says, oh yeah, this is rubbish, I can say that Neil Schon likes it. So in terms of a bar, when it's set there, everything else that anybody else says, I don't really mind, because if Neil likes it, that'll do for me. But anyway, Doug, thank you so much for that $20 donation. And then we have Baldy Caldy, who has donated $2.79. Thank you for that. And Choppin' Broccoli's back in the house. And the message is, where are we all going to meet for the 100k party? That is a good question. I don't know. We'll try and find a venue. Unfortunately, you guys will probably have to fly here, but I'm sure we can find a venue in or around London that we could all meet up. But seriously, on that note, thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing. And let's try and spike the likes on the 23rd minute of the live stream. If you get a chance, please hit that thumbs up and we'll see how many likes we can get tonight. I haven't really been spiking the likes so far tonight, so we'll see if we hit that thumbs up. Maybe we will get a spike and we'll see where we are. We still got a bit of time for this live stream tonight. But Choppin' Broccoli, thank you so much for the donation and the message. And we've got Patty Simmons, who has donated $5. And the question is, who would you most like to talk to? That's a good question, because it might be somebody who's passed on. I'd love to talk to Jimi Hendrix, having just the experience of hearing him for the first time and then wanting to learn to play the guitar. So he's a huge influence on me wanting to learn to play. And in terms of who I'd most like to talk to, anybody that's around at this time. There are so many people that I'd love to pick the brains of, but well, I'm always going to say Frank Marino was a guy that when I first saw him play I wasn't in the 1970s because I wasn't there, but when I saw a video of Frank playing, and the way that I didn't know a lot about him before I saw him playing the guitar, he was a guy that I thought, how do I not know more about Frank Marino? And fortunately enough, a few weeks ago, I did get to talk to him. So that was a really cool thing for the channel, but also me personally, to just be able to meet minds with Frank Marino and talk about so many different things. Like I said before, we talked for 4 hours about amps and guitars and playing and techniques, and it's so cool to talk to somebody who is on the same wavelength, but also somebody of his ability to be able to pick his brains about lots of different things. Was a really cool experience. So that's certainly a guy who I would certainly have liked to have spoken to, and I managed to do it a few weeks ago. But Patty, thank you so much for that donation, $5 donation. And then we have Fred, who has donated $9.99. And Fred says, love Unwanted Stranger. Thank you for that, Fred, for those kind words. Unwanted Stranger hasn't made it into the live stream for tonight, but we will be going to Art Not Commerce and also Percy Johnson, which we'll be hearing later on. But thank you, Fred, for that $9.99 donation. And then we've had another donation from Tiffy T of $1.99. Thank you for that, Tiffy T. And then we've got Ian, who did the cover of Don't Cry that I mentioned earlier. And the message is there an instrument that you really want to learn to play that you have not yet? And good question, Ian, and $50 donation, by the way. Thank you so much for that. A crazy donation from Ian. I don't think there's an instrument that I really want to play because I'd probably already be learning how to do it. I've had an interest in other instruments, but just the standard instruments like keys, just for my album and stuff, being able to lay stuff down in a rough way, and drums, of course. Pretty much bass obviously crosses over from guitar, so it's a lot easier to get that down. But maybe violin, if I had loads of time, then I'd like to maybe try violin or fiddle if I was playing any country, just to get a vibe on how different it is to placing your fingers on a guitar, because I've always said how playing guitar is really easy, and the complexities of playing violin is so much higher. There's a degree of difficulty on the violin that you don't appreciate playing guitar because of the accuracy of being on that fretboard. Even though it's not got any frets, you know what I'm talking about, on the neck of the violin. Actually playing, it must be so difficult to get it on pitch. And that's why I've said before, listening to somebody who's learning to play violin can be awful, just because you have to be so precise with the fingerings. But that's something that maybe I'd have a go at learning in the future. And if I had more time, I might do that. But also singing, that's a massive thing. The vocal cords, just trying to master those are difficult enough, and I could probably spend my whole life just doing that. But Ian, thank you so much for that $50 donation. And we've had another donation from Pam, who's another serial donator. Thank you so much, Pam. $19.99. The question is, who would be one of your greatest influences in terms of the guitar? You must come to America. Baby Ruth trumps a Snickers. Laugh out loud. And that is a matter of opinion, Pam. But in terms of influences, I think I've already mentioned that Jimi Hendrix was a big influence on my playing. When I was younger, I had so many guitarists, and Boston, for example, and bands that I listened to, and the Doobie Brothers, of course, who I actually featured last night, and that was copyright, so I had to redo the video and re-upload it, and it's a bit of a pain, but we got there in the end. But all these old records that my dad had that had great guitar on them, but weren't necessarily just named after the guitarist, because then when I heard Van Halen, it was now the focus was the guitar. It was the guitar player in the band. So Van Halen was a big influence when I got as far as his records. And also Steve Vai, being into 80s stuff, and when Steve played with Whitesnake, that whole era and the music that was around at that time, I started listening to Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and more technically minded guitarists where alternate picking and all of those kind of things were now under the spotlight, which weren't under the spotlight with Jimi Hendrix. So it's just a different type of playing. But those kind of guys are the ones that influenced me, starting off with Hendrix, and Gary Moore as well is in there. And then to the more technical side, I mean, Gary was pretty technical just some of the techniques that he got down, but then Steve Vai, Satriani, all those kind of guys as well in the 80s. But anyway, thank you so much, Pam, for that donation, $19.99. And by the way, if we can spike the likes, that would be great at the moment, because we've got 220 people in the house. So hit that thumbs up and we'll see if we can get a spike of the likes 30 minutes into the live stream. So we've had another donation from Josh, and that is $1.99. Thank you for that, Josh. And the message is, hey, from Texas, love your videos. So thank you for that. And we've had another donation from Rhiannon, and that is $10. And the message is, for all the amazing work you do, with a heart. Thank you for that, Rhiannon. And Rhiannon was my first ever patron. So thank you, Rhiannon, for your support in those very, very early days, because it was and it still is massively appreciated. And then we've got Luan, who's donated $2 as well. Goonies never say die. And it is true. I should have worn a Goonies shirt today maybe, but how would I have known that it was going to come up? So I needed to maybe use my Back to the Future skills for this particular live stream. But thank you, Luan, for that donation. And then Dave G01 has donated $14.99. And the message is, hello, Phil. What band or singer have you seen live that really blew you away? That's a good question. I have to say, because I'm into 80s rock, 80s hard rock, Kip Winger is one of those guys that is massively underrated or maybe underappreciated by guys that maybe didn't look at 80s music, and especially the whole glam thing and the whole hair metal movement that was happening at that time. Kip Winger was in a band called Winger, and they came around in late 80s, really late 80s, early 90s. So they missed that wave of the whole hard rock scene that happened pretty much from the early 80s onwards. By the late 80s, early 90s, it was on its way out, apart from the huge bands like Guns N' Roses and those guys that managed to get on movies, and they managed to have that elongated career and still play now because they were at the top of that pile and they managed to maintain that. But the guys underneath, Kip Winger is one of those that was immensely talented, still is talented, and now he's into writing for, composing for orchestras, and he's such a talented guy. I saw him, just his one-man band act, and that was in Camden in London, where you're literally 3 or 4 feet from the musician, from Kip, and he was just crazy good in terms of his playing on the 12-string acoustic and some of the arrangements that he'd put together, that he was taking full songs and a full band, but keeping your attention for the whole hour and a half of the set, just with his voice and the guitar. So just as a singer, songwriter, performer, and composer, he's one that I saw that I thought, wow, this guy is so much more than a lot of people think of him from the late 80s and early 90s. So that is my answer to that question. It was a long one, but thank you, Dave, for that donation, $14.99 in terms of dollars, and thank you for the question as well. And then we've got Lucy, who's donated $9.99, and the message is to buy some Baby Ruths and Snickers with peanuts, although the ones with almonds is better, and give us an analysis of the one you prefer. That would be probably the most boring analysis video ever, but thank you, Lucy, for the $9.99 donation and the suggestion. I'm not sure it's going to make it onto the list, but I have to say I do prefer Snickers. And by the way, in the UK, I don't know if it's the same across the world, but chocolate bars are getting so small now. When I was a kid, and when I was growing up in my early teens, a Snickers bar used to be a proper size where you could eat it and it would fill you up. Whereas now, you eat a Snickers bar and you almost have to have 2 of them for the size of how big it used to be. So I don't know what's going on there. I think maybe people are just eating too much chocolate and that's why they're making them smaller. Or it's all about profits and they just make the bar smaller and charge you exactly the same money for the size of it that it used to be when it was double the size, and realize that we can now cut it in half and still make the same money. But yeah, that's my rant for tonight on chocolate bars. But thank you, Lucy, for that donation. Brian's donated $14.99, and the message is, what are the chances your people can call their people and you can orchestrate an Oasis reunion? I don't know, maybe. It's always possible that at some point I can feature artists on the channel and maybe get them onto the channel to talk about their music and performances, and if they're still out there touring and getting people along to the dates and all that kind of stuff. That is one of the things that Frank mentioned in our conversation about maybe Wings of Pegasus and Frank Marino teaming up in the UK for a show, but it'll be something that's going to be probably a lot in the future, but you know, that bridge has been built, so it's something that possibly can happen. But certainly on the channel with artists that want to be featured, I haven't got a problem with interviewing and also talking about their techniques, because it's always going to be interesting to do that. So there is an outside chance in terms of a reunion of Oasis. I think because of their relationship, it's not really up to me to get them back together. I think it's probably not likely that it's going to happen, but you never know. Never say die, as we've already had in this live stream. But Brian, thank you so much for that donation. And Linda's donated again with $5, and this is, will we have an opportunity to see more of the Phil Henley Frank Marino masterclass in the near future? So yes, what I'm going to do is set some time aside, maybe this weekend, to try and edit the 4-hour conversation we had into the different segments, in terms of when we were talking about the guitars, when we were talking about live sound on stage, whilst we're talking about writing. There are so many things, but I'll cut it up into sections and try and edit it together. It'll probably take a while, but I'll try and do that this weekend. So thank you, Lisa, for that donation and for the question as well. And then Jeannie has donated $5. This is crazy tonight on the super chat. Thank you guys so much for the donations. There's been so many. I haven't even had a chance to get into the next video, and I'm quickly going to try and get through these. But thank you, Jeannie, who has donated $5. And the message is, I'd love to hear you playing mandolin. Also requesting an analysis of Harry Chapin, Mr. Tanner. I think you would like the story, and thank you, Phil. So thank you, Jeannie, for that donation, and I'll make a note of your suggestion as well. And thank you for this request of me playing mandolin, and it's something that I haven't really looked into. I did play a little bit of ukulele back when I used to teach ukulele and did a little bit of that, but I found that guitar was a little bit more mainstream in terms of what I was teaching, because ukulele is fine, but in terms of pushing techniques, I do like to teach techniques guitar wise. You don't really get people coming along to learn the ukulele who want to learn about alternate picking and advanced guitar techniques. So it was a little bit like just teaching the chord shapes, and ukulele's pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. So it was just a bit samey teaching wise. So then I thought, well, I'm going to get a little bit more out of teaching guitar, and also you get a lot more adults wanting to learn guitar and a lot more kids wanting to learn ukulele, which is fine, but I just prefer to teach guitar. But anyway, thank you so much for that donation, and we've had even more. Empress Mermaid, $5. Have you ever felt you were born into the wrong musical era? And I think a lot of people say that on the channel in the comment section, but I think that where I am at the moment and what I'm doing is probably for some reason, maybe to help spread awareness of that era that I missed out on, so that people can see it who are my age and younger, and it can be represented on a channel. And if it keeps on growing, then maybe if more than 100,000 people might be exposed to different artists that they might never have heard of. So maybe it is supposed to be, it's destiny, it's fate that I am around when I am, just so I've got the technology. Because if I was around in the 70s and the 80s, I'd be watching these bands and they'd be great. But then in terms of telling other people about it, I wouldn't be able to contact them because there wasn't really the internet, and I wouldn't have the people's phone numbers to say, look, you've got to check out this artist. But that's just the way I think of it, maybe it's all meant to be. But thank you so much for that donation. There's been another one underneath, and it's Lynn, who's a serial donator, and we've got two, and this is, I think, an accident from Lynn. She's donated $50, and then another $50 has gone through straight away afterwards. I think maybe a double click on the send has happened there. We will sort that out, Lynn, don't worry about it. And the message is happy anniversary to Rose and hi to Mario. Thanks. So everyone say hi to Mario in the comment section. Thank you, Lynn, for drawing my attention to it. And we will sort out that double donation, because if anybody accidentally donates, we can sort it out. Don't worry about it. You can always message me or comment on YouTube or email me at wingsofpegasus@hotmail.com just to sort things out, because it will be fine. Don't worry about it. But thank you, Lynn, for that $50 donation, and we'll sort out that second one that accidentally went through. And then we've got another message from, let me see, there's been so many now, I've lost track of where I am, but Missy Fry, $5. As a songwriter, which comes first for you, lyrics or music? And it's always music with me, because I play guitar. I'm very much a guitarist who then learned to sing. I would play a riff, or I had a chord progression, and then I'd come up with a melody after that. So the lyrics also come after I've pretty much got most of the song in place, and I know what the riff's doing, and I know the chord progression. I probably have already put down a rough drum track, and then I start to get a vibe of the song before I then get into the writing. But in terms of the lyrical content and in terms of the melody that I want to put over the top of the chords. But thank you, Missy Fry, for that donation. And Julie has donated $1.99, and the message is R&R, Mount Rushmore, Hendrix, Bonham, Manzarek, Mercury, you, ? Oh, this must be to do with artists and guitarists, or maybe top 5 artists of all time. Maybe it's something to do with that. But Julie, thank you for that donation. I think this is probably, if you're asking me to come up with my top 5 bands or artists or players, I think that it's going to be the same answer as earlier, that I can't really pick between bands and artists because I've done so many, and I do a new artist or band every single night, and I've been doing that for probably almost 2 years now. So there are so many artists that I've covered that I think are great and have their own unique take and their own unique way of writing and sounding, that just trying to pick 5 is so difficult for me as a musician myself, because there's so many different elements that I like from different artists. But thank you, Julie, anyway, for that $1.99 donation. And then Janice has donated $50. Thank you so much for that, Janice. And another crazy donation, and the message is, sorry for being so late to the show, Phil. Don't worry, Janice, absolutely fine. And thank you so much for that donation. And Janice is another serial donator, as is Carla, with a $1.99 donation underneath. And I can't see the message that Carla has written, if there is one, but we will be getting to it, because I've got to get into the next video, because we've been going for 42 minutes and we haven't got to the second video yet. So thank you everyone for the donations, and thank you everybody for hitting that like button. Again, I haven't had a chance to say, if you do like this live stream or the channel, just hit that thumbs up, because it really helps for the channel to grow. We're going to be getting into my version of Iris, which took me ages to get on the live stream on my computer, because it was recorded so long ago on my old computer. And hopefully you guys like this. It's got a guitar solo in there as well, so a bit of extemporization and all that kind of stuff. But I hope you guys like this. I'm going to be in the comment section, and I'll see you guys after. Rock!
Well, I'd give up forever to touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now. And all I can taste is this moment, and all I can breathe is your life. When sooner or later it's over, I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. Whenever there's a made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. And you can't fight the tears that ain't coming, or the moment of truth in your lies, when everything feels like the movies. Yeah, you bleed just to know you're alive. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. Whenever there's a made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am.
So that was my version of Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. A little bit of acoustic work, but then just shoehorning in an electric guitar solo. It's something that I do like to do wherever possible, but I hope that you guys liked it and that it was okay. And during that as well, we had a couple of other super chat donations, and the first one was from Carla, and Carla has donated $1.99, and she says, Lynn said, not an accident. So thank you, Carla, and thank you so much, Lynn, for those two back-to-back $50 donations. Just crazy stuff going on, but thank you, it is massively appreciated. And Lisa has donated $5, and this was the video that Lisa requested, and the message says, yay, Iris was my request, found it on YouTube last night. So thank you, Lisa, for requesting that over on Patreon, and I hope you enjoyed it on the live stream tonight. And we've had another donation, and it's Michaeline who has donated $2.99, and it looks like there is some kind of guy with a big hand, but we can't see that fully yet because it's been cut off by YouTube. Again, they need to sort out their, I don't know what you call it, the barrier that stops the bottom of the, what's it called? There's a fancy word for something when you cut out and you can only see a particular block, but it eludes me for the moment, but I've seen it on cropping. That's what it's called, where they've cropped the comments so that you can't see the bottom of it, and YouTube will have to sort that out. But thank you, Michaeline, for that message, or the guy, it looks like he's sticking his thumbs up, so I'm going to go with that for tonight. But thank you everybody for joining me tonight and for all hitting that thumbs up button. And if you haven't, now's a great time to do it. I'm going to be rolling on through the videos as well, just because there's been so much action in the super chat section tonight that it's 49 minutes and we've only had a couple of videos, but I'd like to get through all of those requests. And you guys in the super chat section, thank you so much. I really do appreciate every single donation, and it makes such a massive difference to everything that I can do. And I always say that the live streams used to fail all the time, but now they're a lot more consistent because of the donations and the fact that I can spend money on stuff to make it better and just more reliable. So thank you guys so much for everything that you do, and my patrons as well, whose names you can see at the bottom of the screen here, but a lot of those guys are also in the super chat donations, so thank you guys. You know who you are. I'm going to be moving on to now the next video, which is going to be the live version of Art Not Commerce. I did a video for this song from the album when I'm just walking, but I'm going to play the live version from the live stream tonight, and this was Luan that requested this one. We're going to jump straight into it. I'm going to be in the comment section as always, and I'll see you guys after this. It is Art Not Commerce. Just before I start, Susan and Dennis have donated $10, and the message is, wish we could send you more. So don't worry about that, guys, absolutely fine. And don't feel obliged to send me any money. It's totally fine, and just joining me on the live stream on a Tuesday is amazing, because there's so many other things that you could be doing rather than spending a Tuesday night here. It might be even daytime, so there are loads of things that you could be doing during the day other than spending time on the live stream. So thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. We've also had a donation from Luan, and it says getting in another serial donation for the night. So this is Luan's request that he made over on Patreon before the live stream. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you afterwards. Rock.
I'll make my own way.
And there we have it. That was my track called Art Not Commerce from the live stream. And something about that, obviously it's the live version of the track, and you always find that you might do something live that you then think, oh, I should have done that when I recorded it, because on that solo, obviously it differs a little bit from the album. If you have got the album, let me just plug that as well. It's called Persistence, and it's available on iTunes and Amazon, and more importantly, wingsofpegasus.com/store. And that's where I get all of the money for the album. The other sites obviously take a percentage, so if you can go to the website, that's even better. So the solo right at the end, when I was playing it live, I hit a little bit of a pinched harmonic to get that last note, and it's something that you do on the fly just when you're playing live. But then I think, oh, that sounds really cool, maybe I should have done that on the recorded version, but I didn't. But anyway, it's just one of those things that I guess having a live version and having something slightly different in the solo is always nice. I think I play some other different stuff live as well, but it's nice to have that, and only with hindsight do you think, yeah, that would have been really good to put that on the album. But anyway, thank you so much for the kind words about that song that we're going through the comment section. Also about the mix, because it was a live stream and I was doing everything as I always do on this channel. Everything that you see I've organised and set up everything, plugged everything in, done all the wires, and this was when live streaming wasn't like this, where you could just press a button and live stream. I had to go through a third-party company in Germany in order to live stream it across to all the different countries, and it just so happened that it was really stressful and it was a lot of work. And one of the things that I didn't have control over was the mix. I had to guesstimate what it was going to sound like on the other side of the stream, because I was playing live. I couldn't really judge. So with hindsight, obviously I would have whopped up my lead vocal a little bit more to sit on top of everything else, but it just so happened that the mix was off and it was slightly too low. With songs that had more dynamic range in them, maybe you could hear my voice a little bit better when there's a quiet bit of guitar going on, but with all out stuff like we've got with Art Not Commerce, the vocal did just dip below where it would have been ideal. But that was just the setup, and because it was a live stream, the sound we're hearing was the live sound, and there'll still be people in this comment section who were watching it live, and they'll be able to tell you that it just sounded like that live. And I guess it isn't too bad. It's when you then listen to it afterwards, and it's always something that you think, oh, I'd love for that to have been a little bit louder. But in the future, you know, if I was to do it again, I probably wouldn't personally by myself, maybe get a team to do it because it's so stressful. But if I had a team doing it, I'd have somebody sitting at a computer to listen to the mix, so then they could maybe come in and adjust the mix to make it better on the other end. But it was just a guesstimation, so apologies that the vocal was a little bit low, but it just couldn't be avoided, unfortunately. So I'm just going to get into the super chat donation window again because I saw something happen, and let's have a little look through. It was Poet's Dream who donated $9.99, and the message was, Phil, I'd love to see you analyse Brian May and Queen. So I did Queen's performance at, well, just Bohemian Rhapsody when they opened at Live Aid, and I did that quite a while ago. Brian is here somewhere. I can't remember where he was playing, but it was just one of his solo sections, so I have had a look at Brian May. If you want to try and find him on the channel, the best thing to do is to type in British guitarist analyses, or even just British guitarist and then Brian May, and it'll probably pop up. So use that British guitarist as a handle, as that really helps for the search results. But just type that in and you'll probably find it. But thank you for that donation. And then Mark has donated $5, and the question is, do you ever go back and read the super chats? And I don't ever go back because I read them like I'm reading them now, so I am aware of every single super chat that I've received and all of the messages. So thank you, Mark, for that $5 donation, and I will always go through the super chats live. And if I miss out anybody, then I always double check to make sure that I did read all of the comments, but I'm pretty sure that when I go through them live that I don't miss anybody, because I just hate it if I miss anybody's super chat donation. But thank you for that, Mark. And we've had another donation, Kathy, $2, and the message is, "Go Phil, you are awesome." So thank you for that, Kathy, and the donation. And we had another one, and this is $20 from Nagel Lisa. So thank you, Lisa, for that donation. And the message is, "Love your music and vocals." So thank you for that. Thank you for the kind words and for that donation. We've got Beanie Angela underneath that with a $10 donation, and that's just straight up in terms of the donation without a message. So thank you, Angela, for that. And then Sandy has donated, and the bottom part of the message, from what I can see, has been cut off, so I won't be able to see it. Oh, here we go. It's $5. Thank you, Sandy. And the message is, "Introduced my son to your channel. Typical millennial. He was super impressed with your 99,000 followers. Laugh out loud. So you know how to capture the 20-somethings." So thank you, Sandy. And this is just the thing about the channel. There's such a wide range of audience that tune in, and it's really cool when you do speak to guys that certainly would never have heard of some of the artists that I'm covering and looking at. I think even myself, I wouldn't know a lot of the artists from maybe the 50s and the 60s, apart from the Beatles and the other huge acts that were around at that time. Maybe Buddy Holly, obviously Elvis, and the big names that a lot of people come into contact with, but so many of those names that I wouldn't necessarily have listened to in any detail given my age. But obviously doing this and looking at so many videos, I get a wider appreciation of all of the artists that are around at the 50s and even the 40s and the 30s and the 20s, going even earlier. So it's great to have a look at, and especially when somebody gets in touch who is maybe in their late teens or early 20s and they're discovering this music, and they might be an artist themselves. It can only help with their artistic expression to watch so many great artists who just laid those foundations for all of those artists to come along, like the British Invasion in the mid-60s, all those classic blues players that were being listened to by the generation in the 60s, who then went over to the USA and started giving them the same music that was already around, but just as younger artists and putting a slightly different spin on it. But the music already existed, and that's what it's all about, just finding that original music and letting yourself to be inspired by it, especially if you are a musician yourself. But anyway, thank you so much for that donation, Sandy. And we've had another one underneath that, and this is Michaeline again, who has donated $4.99. And unfortunately, Michaeline, your message is just underneath this crop that YouTube put in for some reason, but we will get to that message afterwards. So now, finally, I mean, we've been going for over an hour. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for sticking with me, and for hitting that like button. If you get a chance to do that and you haven't already, please do hit that thumbs up. We're going to be getting into the live video. This is going to be the recorded video of Percy Johnson. So it's going to have the lyrics on screen. This is if I have set it up correctly, but fingers crossed that I have. This is Percy Johnson, and this is my track from the album. I'm just going to be checking because this was Thomas that requested this over on Patreon, and you can follow along with the words. As always, I'm going to be in the comment section, and Michaeline's message was buenos noches, till next time. So bye-bye, Michaeline. You might have already left, but apologies for not seeing that message because it was cut off. But Linda has just bumped up Michaeline's message, so I managed to read it. And Michaeline donated $4.99, so thank you so much for that. And Linda has donated another $2, and again, that has been cut off, so we will get there maybe after this video. Hopefully you guys like this. This one's called Percy Johnson. Again, it's from my album called Persistence, and I'll catch you guys after this. Rock!
as you do what we say. Don't hurt them, I'm coming. On the table, that was my half of the deal. In the briefcase, now we need 2 million We know who you're working for. Just say the word and MI5 break down the door. Don't trust him, he's bluffing. On the table, that was my half of the deal. In the briefcase, now we need 2 million more. Sky is falling. Here come the angels dressed in black. It's not quite clear who will live and who shall die. On the table, that was my half of the deal. In the briefcase, now we need 2 million more. On the table, that was my half of the deal. In the briefcase, now we need 2 million
And there we have it. That was my track called Percy Johnson. I hope you guys enjoyed that one, and thank you everybody for hitting that like button tonight, because we have passed 300 likes for the live stream, so we hit our target, which is fantastic. And also we've had some more super chat donations as well, just a few more, and Linda, I'm not sure if I mentioned this last time, but Linda donated $2 and said last serial donation to say a big thank you. So thank you, Linda, for that, and thank you for joining me tonight and for the donations. And then we've got Lucy as well, who's donated $24.99, and it says, for you being open to analyze other genres of music, Phil, you have a great channel and you're a great person and musician with a heart. So thank you, Lucy, for that. Thank you for the kind words, and it's you guys, Lucy included, with everybody else in the comment section, that make this channel a cool place to be. And a shout out to the moderators as well, because they're controlling everything on Tuesday nights so well, and thank you guys for doing that, and just everybody for tuning in and making it a really cool place to be, because I think it's going to be unavoidable that trolls do come along at some points with the increased subscriber count, but we will still be here off. Well, I guess the foundation, the formation up until this point is solid with a really great bunch of people. So thank you guys so much for tuning in on these live streams as well. And we have had another donation underneath this from Lucy. I think it might be one of those that I can't see the message, but it's JPRPH1 who has donated $1.99, and that is one of those usernames that I know how to say it because, like I said last time, when GPRPH1 came up, if it's just letters and numbers, I can pretty much get it right. But thank you for that donation, and thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. I'm going to mention as well the Facebook page that's over there that has been set up by Tennessee Moppy, who you might see in the comments section just going through now and again, but that is called the Wings of Pegasus supporters page. So if you just type in Wings of Pegasus supporters, it's like a group, and you can join that because Vince hosts I can just make up that word. Vince hosts an after party there after the live stream. So if you want to continue on after the live stream, in the comment section you can go over to Facebook, join the Wings of Pegasus supporters group, and you'll be able to join in with whatever you guys talk about over there. And if you are having a discussion live, I think YouTube sometimes just cut off the live stream. I'm not sure exactly how long after a stream's finished that it does it, but it just seems to cut it off and then you can't comment anymore. So if you want to continue a conversation from here on YouTube, over on Facebook, that's the place to go. Wings of Pegasus supporters group is what you want to type in to the search field, and then Tennessee Moppy will be able to give you a thumbs up and allow you into that group, and it should be okay. But thank you, Vince, for reminding me to point everybody in that direction. So I'm going to be calling it a night for tonight because it is almost 1:15 in the morning here in the UK, and as you guys know, over on Patreon I go over there, check everything out, and also upload a link to this live stream over on Patreon so you guys can catch up on it if you missed it live. And if you're watching this in the future, you can still hit that thumbs up. It still all counts, and it helps this channel to grow and get out there. So thank you guys so much for doing that. And I really want this message, if there is one, under JPRPH1 to be visible, because unfortunately I can't see it, and it might be a message that I'm going to have to wait until maybe next week to see if it gets bumped up. But thank you for that $1.99 donation. Thank you everybody at the bottom of the screen for being my patrons and making everything possible. Just making every single analysis video possible as well, because you guys will know, the guys that have been there a long time, how I used to do one video a week, maybe a riff of the week on a Sunday. That's a regular video that I used to do. And I used to have another band member that was involved, and sometimes organising things was difficult, whereas now, because I've got this backing from you guys, I can do everything myself, and rather than one video a week, I can now put out 365 videos a year. And it's just the way that I do things. I like to work at that kind of pace, and I just feel better doing lots of stuff. So thank you guys for enabling me to do that, a new video every single night, and it's just because of your support over on Patreon, the super chat donations as well. And thank you everybody for joining me on the channel in the live streams, but also in the comments section. And we've just been able to see this message. The message from JPRPH1 is, "Hail Phil, thanks for sharing all your talents." So thank you so much for that message, and thank you everybody in that super chat donation section. Fortunately, it's just YouTube, I think, that has now bumped up the messages, so it hasn't cropped it at the bottom. So thank you guys. I'm going to call it a night now. Hopefully there isn't another donation underneath this one that I can't see. If there is, I will read it definitely after this whole live stream's finished, because I can go to the messages on a different page and then I'll be able to read through them all. But thank you guys so much for the donations, for joining me tonight. And if I don't see you in the comments section of the next analysis video, then I will see you the same time, the same place for live stream Tuesday next week. So thank you guys. I'm going to be signing off now, and I'll see you guys next week or in the comments section. So I'll catch you guys later. rock.